Oh God, Ayesha, help. The water fill point is not going that well.
Bit of a setback.
The water tank's too tall for where we actually want it, because we also want a fill point externally. So that's then had a knock-on impact, meaning that we'll have to now put it on its side. And that then means the lid that came with it isn't watertight. It's watertight around the edges, but it's got this little springy vent thing in the middle, little air vent, and that's not watertight. We did try buying another different lid for it, but that one's not watertight at all. So we're going to try and block up the vent bit with some sealant, and then hopefully it'll all be watertight. Oh God, Ayesha, help.
We've got our water tank in place here. We're going to raise it up a little bit so it's not sitting on the bolts for our gas tank. This does also mean we can use the original outlet, which you can see on the back there. So all we've got left to do now is install a filler point over here, which will go to our external fill point on the outside, and install our depth probe, which will sit on the other corner and will let us check our fresh water supply.
So we've got this water fill point for our fresh water, which will fill the fresh tank just down here. We want it on the outside obviously, but about here, so it'll be hidden in this cupboard, and we know that's a flat panel on the outside of the van. Oh. Please tell me that's through the outside.
No.
The water fill point is not going that well. We came out too high up, so then we did another one, and all of this will be covered by the flange, but we didn't think about it until it was too late.
Thank God it will be covered by the flange.
But now, because Ayesha was so good at stuffing all that insulation in a previous video, it's causing a bit of problem.
This is like in a channel that's behind two internal walls in the van. I don't know how we got so much fluffy stuff in there.
We are finally through, and you can see to the inside, but that was 1, 2, 3 and 4 different layers of metal there. This fresh water tank we've got here is 105 litres. When we were looking online, we couldn't find any baffled ones in this size. The baffling only seemed to start at about 125 litres. So we've built an extra frame around it to stop it moving, and then we're going to add some ratchet straps just to make doubly sure. First things first is to get from that 3/4 inch outlet to our 12mm push fit pipe. So we've got this reducing bush, which will screw into there like so, and then we've got this elbow here which will screw onto the end of that reducing bush, and obviously we'll tighten them up properly, but that's how we're going to get from our 3/4 inch outlet to our 12mm push fit pipe.
We've just been playing around with our water system layout again. So this is the outlet for our freshwater tank, and we think we're going to have to go in through an elbow into our on-off ball valve here, and then straight into our pump, and then the other side of our pump we're going to go around to our accumulator, and then after that we'll tee off into our hot and cold pipes. What we're doing now is pumping up our accumulator pressure, because apparently you're meant to pump them up to roughly the same pressure as your pump switches off at, and ours is 30 psi, so that's what we're pumping our accumulator up to.
Once we'd finally settled on a location for all the parts, we could start connecting it all together using our push fit pipe. This pipe's really easy to work with, but it can be a bit stiff, so you have to make sure you push it all the way into the connections. I think that's all the way snug. The only difference between the hot water and the cold water pipes is to make sure to use these little inserts on the hot water pipes, and these just stop the pipe deforming when it gets hot. The tap comes with these tails, so we've had to buy a little adapter which we will screw in into our 12mm push fit pipe. Right, it's the moment of truth. We haven't yet powered up the pump, so we should now be just testing the other side of this and that connection. I'm scared. Did that do anything?
No idea.
I'm so scared. So after our on-off valve, we come into the pump, it then loops all the way there and comes up here into the accumulator and to another on-off valve. So we'll be testing the system all the way through to there after we put the fuse in the pump. Oh mama!
Nope.
Right,
There
so
we go.
that
We got to there.
was the pump working up to the accumulator. Right, that's pressurising the whole system. I'm going to go check the other side.
Yep.
Well, I'm not seeing any leaks my side.
No. Neither am I. Good morning. I am currently stood exactly where both our water tank and our Trumo used to be. And the reason I'm stood here is because they've been taken out temporarily. We had a bit of a leak out of our water tank, and it's caused rather a lot of problems. So basically down here was where our lid sat, which when we tested it we thought was completely watertight. Turns out it wasn't completely watertight, so we've now hopefully sealed that up and made it watertight, but it needs to dry before we can put it back in. But it did mean we had to rip absolutely everything out because we couldn't get to the lid without doing so. So yeah, bit of a setback, but we're moving onwards and upwards.
We're also going to use this mess up as a chance to install an inspection hatch in the water tank. And excuse my voice, I have a cold. But we're cracking on.
Alright, we've retested the water tank, and with this new sealant around the lid, we think it is now fully watertight. Fingers crossed. We've also put in the inspection hatch in the top, which means we are ready to put the water tank back into place.
Bingo. We just identified a second leak that didn't seem to be there originally, which is this fill hose here. Just tightened up our Jubilee clip a little bit. Looks like we are in the clear again. Mercifully, after fixing those leaks, the plumbing gods seemed to be back on our side, and it wasn't that long until we could test our system again. Running water really does feel like a huge milestone to have hit, and it feels like we're getting really close to setting off now. So make sure that you subscribe to join us on our travels.